Hey loves! So I wanted to talk to you about saying yes, saying no, creating boundaries, and creating space for joy. So, in terms of specifically, I'll be speaking to yoga and Pilates teachers, but this is also applicable to anyone with their soul business. So, there's kind of two opposing energies here. There's the yes and there's the no. So what I mean by that is often when we're stepping into something new, we're stepping into a brand new teaching career or our soul business, saying yes is really scary, right? Like you get an opportunity to teach a cover or an opportunity even to take a permanent or something, and it feels really scary. Or somebody inquires about working with you in a tiny little specific thing that you might not have done that one specific thing before, and that feels scary. And so sometimes the fear response or the shadow response is to say no and perhaps give yourself an excuse in your mind that you're too busy or that it doesn't fit into your schedule or something like that. So there's the no that's coming from a limiting belief space. And that's different to the no that's coming from a boundaried, staying in my worth space. So it's really up to you, and you're the only person who can determine where it's appropriate for you to say yes and when to say no. So what I want you to do when you get an opportunity to teach or when you're putting yourself out there is ask yourself that question. Am I saying yes from a place where I feel a little bit of an edge, a little bit scared, a little bit fearful, but I'm saying yes and I'm diving in and I'm excited? Or am I saying yes from I should do this, this is good, this is a good opportunity, I don't want to pass this by, I have to do this? Or am I saying no from I'm scared, like I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of this class? Or am I saying no from this isn't in my worth, this pay rate isn't in my worth, this travel time isn't in my worth, I'm not determined, or I'm not, I'm not settling for this today. So there's kind of those four options. So you really have to get clear with yourself on which option you're taking. So obviously there's two that are in your worth, right? There's the yes that's coming from an empowered, fuck yes, I'm so excited to take this class. It's a little bit of an edge. I'm a little bit scared. Like, I'm not fully ready yet, perhaps, but that's an empowered yes. And then there's the no, that's an empowered no. So coming from a boundaried, firm, strong in your worth place of perhaps this rate of pay isn't what I'm not willing to accept this rate of pay, or I'm not willing to accept driving an hour for a 1 hour class or something like that. So they're the two that you want to stand in. Yeah. So when I originally started teaching this section, I said to everyone, I want you to say yes to absolutely every opportunity that comes your way to teach. Any class cover that you get offered, say yes. Or any class that you see advertised on one of the Facebook groups, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes. And that's what I did when I first started teaching. However, I'm not promoting that now because I really, really, really believe in that boundaried high self-worth no. Because I took classes that only paid $30 an hour, that were 40 minutes away from where I lived, that I had to get up at 5 a.m. to get there. And I mean, like, it does help with your teaching experience, but it's also really, really beautiful to stand strong in your boundaried, high self-worth, high power no, even from the start of your journey. Because when you say no to something that isn't in your worth, it's like telling the universe yes to something bigger. And I really firmly do believe that. So that's why I'm not telling you to say yes to absolutely everything. I want you to say yes to the ones that are leaning into your edge, that are within what you're willing to accept for rate of pay, how far it is from where you live, etc. Say yes to those and say no to the ones that aren't in your worth. So an example for me specifically of the no that feels, of the no that's not an empowered no would be, or this is an example from a friend, not from me. She said, I don't want to teach in gyms. I don't want to teach yoga classes in gyms because that's not where I feel that I can help the most. Or I can't remember exactly her words, but something along those lines. And I asked her, okay, cool. Are you not wanting to teach at the gym because you really just don't feel like you want to serve those people? You don't feel aligned with the people that go to the gyms? Or are you saying no from a limiting belief space of I don't belong in the gym? So see the difference? So in her case, it was the second no. It was the not empowered no. And so her yes then, her empowered choice would be leaning in to the slight edge, the slight bit of fear, the slight scared aspect of herself. But saying yes, I'm willing to lean into my edge. Yes, I'm willing to take this class that scares me a little bit. So yeah, I really want you to ask yourself that question every time you get offered a class, or every time you see a class advertised, or anytime that you're offered something in your soul business, or anytime you're thinking of offering something in your soul business, like a service or a product or something like that. Okay, so in terms of finding classes, so jot these down so that you do these things. So there's a couple of Facebook groups, and I'm talking specifically to those of us that live on the Gold Coast, but the same is true for anywhere that you live. There's Facebook groups that are called Gold Coast Yoga Teachers, Gold Coast Yoga Pilates Teachers, Gold Coast Pilates Teachers, etc. So you want to join all of those groups. You obviously need to request to join, and then you'll get someone accepts you into them. And make sure you turn on your notifications, because obviously if you don't have your notifications on, then you don't know when people are posting. So you want to turn those on so you get a notification every time someone posts. And in those groups, it's really first in, first served. So you want to turn your notifications on. You want to jump on the post that says cover needed, Kumara, blah, 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 and say, yes, I'd love to take that. I'll send you a DM, something along those lines. And when class covers are posted on that Facebook group, they're really last minute emergency covers. So just know that the people that are posting on there have probably already asked all of their covers list, all of their friends, all of the people that they know, and they're really, really desperate to get someone. So they're probably going to say yes to you if you're one of the first people that comment. So that's a good thing to do. Another thing is to connect to people that were on your teacher training course. If you know anyone that were in your course that you did however long ago, connect to all of those people and ask if they're teaching anywhere. So if they already are teaching somewhere, just let them know that you're really available for covers, and if they ever get stuck, to please let you know, to please get in contact with you. Another thing to do is message any teachers that you know or that you have a close-ish relationship with. So I'm sure that you all have your favorite studio that you go to, and you have teachers that you've connected with on some level. So just messaging them or talking to them in person, and just really expressing to them how much you would love to start teaching, and if they ever get stuck for any covers, to please, please, please let you know that you would be so grateful. And I know that saying that feels kind of scary, but I promise you, all teachers have been in the position that you are in, and we want to help you. Like, honestly, if somebody sent me a message like that, and they have, I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to help you. And then every time I get asked to cover something, because I don't take covers anymore, I'll send them on to that person. So I promise you that it will be well received and that they will want to help you if you just show how much you're really wanting to get out there. We all get it. We've all been where you are. Another thing to do is to set a goal to send out a certain number of emails every week or a certain number of emails this week to studios around you. So you might want to have a little Google of yoga and Pilates studios within your area, or you might know the studios already. So you can send out an email with your little email copy that we've talked about before and your yoga or Pilates resume. So send a bunch of those out. I have got permanent classes from doing that. So it is something that happens. Another thing to make your application more potent would be to go to those studios in person, find out who the owner of the studio is, go to their class, so go to the studio owner's class, practice, they'll notice you, they'll see you moving beautifully, etc. And then have a chat to them at the end of class and say, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. I would really love to be on your covers list. If you'd like to add me on Facebook, or I'll give you my number. I have my resume here if you'd like to see it. And I did also send you an email as well. So just not getting in their face, but like shining your light to them so that they can put a face to the name, because this business, yoga and Pilates business, is really about that connection, like that heart to heart, soul to soul connection. So if they can meet you in person, they'd be so much more likely to remember you for one, but also want to help you, want to give you classes, and then call on you when they need you. I promise you that all studios have emergency covers. And when you are the person that can help a studio owner out in that emergency when they have no one else to call on, they will be so fucking grateful and they'll want to give you more, I promise. And just to know that it will happen. It will happen. You will get classes, you will get covers, you will get permanence, I promise. I know that it feels impossible, but I know that it happens. I've seen it so many times. It's this progression. There's always room, there's always space for more teachers, because there seems to be this progression with yoga and Pilates teachers. Like, we start off super keen, we might want to work as a teacher full time. Not everyone does, but some of us do. And then you don't necessarily lose interest or inspiration, but you find something else that you kind of want to add to what you're offering. So for example, one of my friends, Alice, has started Lomi Massage. Kim Bargainquest, she started her own online yoga and Pilates studio. And so they're cutting down the permanent classes that they have, and that creates space for new teachers. And that just happens all the time. People go away, people have babies, people add other things into their lives, so they have less time to teach. So I promise you, there's always this constant progression of teachers moving on and new people coming in. So it will happen. It will happen. Okay. So a little exercise that I want you to do is I want you to have a think about what is the lowest hourly rate that you will accept. So this goes for if you're in your soul business, if you're coaching, in your offerings that you're doing, or specifically for yoga and Pilates teachers, the hourly rate. So for your offerings, obviously it wouldn't be an hourly rate, it would be something else. But have a think, what is the lowest hourly rate you are willing to accept? And just if you have no idea, most yoga and Pilates studios, 50 is good. Like 50 is my lowest. I'll just say that. There are places that pay less than that. There's some places that pay a little more than that, which is great. So yeah, my suggestion would be 50. Obviously you can have your own. But I want you to make a commitment to yourself now that you will stick to this. So this is your empowered no. Anything below this rate, no. Empowered no. I'm standing in my worth. I am worth more than that. No, I'm not accepting less than that rate. Commit. Okay. And the second thing that I want you to have a think about is how many classes a week is your maximum that you think you can handle. So I want you to figure out a number now. Obviously, this will shift and change and you don't have a super clear idea now because you haven't done it before. But I want you to start to think about, what do you think is your maximum number of classes you can teach a week? And so taking into account whether you do want to teach full time or whether you have another job that you want to keep or whatever else that you're doing, what is your maximum number of classes that you can do a week? So to give you an example, Michelle Cassidy says that 15 classes a week is a full-time teacher. When I was a full-time teacher, I still had my little hippie cook business on the side, and so 15 was too many for me. At the moment, I have 5 permanent classes a week, and I love that. Obviously, I have this business now, Sacred with Susie, that takes up my time, and I also just want to create a lot of space for myself. So find out what suits you, taking into account what other things you want to be spending your time doing. What is your limit? What is your maximum? And again, anything above that amount is your empowered no. So let's just say your maximum number of classes is 10 classes a week. You have 8 permanents. You've already accepted 2 covers that got offered to you a couple of months ago. And then your friend or your favorite studio owner or something asks you last minute, please, can you take this cover? Empowered no, okay? That is over your maximum number of weekly classes, no. And this might sound a little bit harsh, especially now at the start of your journey. You're like, oh my God, I can't say no to my favorite studio owner. I promise you that you can. For one, you can say no. They won't resent you or hold it against you or anything. They'll forget about it like the next day. And if they don't, do you really want to be working for them? Respect yourself, honestly. I have overworked myself in this industry. I have burnt myself out with the number of classes I was teaching. I would say just this one week, and it just keeps happening and happening and happening and happening. So my advice to you would be no. Anything above your maximum number of classes, no. And say to them, I'm sorry, but this is above my maximum weekly number of classes. I found that if I teach more than that, I'm just burning myself out, and I'm looking after myself by saying no, and they will respect that. And you might even teach them something. Okay. Yeah. So planning for your future. So what are you wanting to do with your teaching? Are you wanting to add your teaching to your current schedule of the other work that you do? Are you wanting to teach full time? Are you wanting to add something else to your offering? So thinking about that, planning for the future, deciding on how you want your schedule to look, how you want your life to look, how you want your teaching career to look. And so that leads us into the next piece. I want you to create your ideal weekly schedule. So you can get out a piece of paper and you can draw like a little grid for the 7 days, and you can even draw your times. And I want you to think about what you want to fill your week with. So obviously you would write in your classes, so the maximum number of classes that you want to teach, and having a think, because this is your ideal weekly schedule, this is your dream schedule. when do you want to teach? Do you want to teach morning classes? Do you want to teach late morning classes? Do you want to teach afternoon or evening classes? What suits your life best? What suits your schedule best? So for me personally, I don't like to teach any morning classes at all. I will occasionally say yes to a late morning class, like a 9:15. Actually, I do have a 9:15 in my schedule, because my mornings are my sacred time to do my sacred rituals. And I love taking them slowly and not rushing, and including a really nice big nourishing breakfast in that. And obviously you can't do that if you're teaching a 5 a.m. or a 6 a.m. class. Maybe you have a family and your evenings are your sacred family time, so you don't want to teach any evening classes. Do you want to teach weekend classes? So something to think about. What is your dream schedule? And I want you to schedule at least 1 full day off, if not 2. Full day, okay? Nothing else on. Do you want that to be on your weekends? Again, do you have family where you spend the whole 2 days of the weekend with them, or are you okay to have your 2 days off during the week, or on Sunday and Monday, or Friday, Saturday, whatever. Your dream schedule, your dream. So taking into account your partner or your kids, or when you want to spend time with friends, when your friends have time off, etc. And then what are you doing other than teaching? What else are you filling your week with? And then make sure you also have time for white space in your schedule. So you have at least 1 or 2 full days off, but then during your working week, you also have spaces where you're not working. You don't want to be working like 10 hours a day, or like teaching 3 classes in the morning and then 5 hours on your own business and then 1 class in the evening. Like, I did that. It sucks. I used to fill every single gap in my schedule with something. And no, you don't have to do that. Look after yourself. Create space for joy. Create space for rest. Create space for rejuvenation. It is so important. Burnout is really easy to get into. Those words. Burnout is really easy to get in this industry. You want to be looking after yourself. And then so within those white spaces for joy, for rest, for rejuvenation, I want you to, this is another little task, write out a self-love menu. So write out a little menu of things that you can gift to yourself that make you feel amazing, that lift you up, that fill your cup back up. Because in this industry, again, you really, really, really need to look after yourself, because you can't serve people when you're empty. You can't serve people when you're running on adrenaline, when you're stressed out, when you're overwhelmed, when you're overworked. Who wants to go to a yoga class from someone that's in that state? Who wants to go to a Pilates class from someone in that state? It's not inspiring. And even if your students don't know, that you can feel that energy. You can. And I was there. I taught from those spaces, and you don't like it. It feels gross for you. It feels yuck. It feels a little bit inauthentic, to be honest, for yourself. So you want to create this menu of things that you can do to nourish yourself, to fill yourself up, so that you are as high vibe, fuck yeah, amazing, inspired, delicious in yourself. And then you can serve from that space. Yes, how good is that? So I'll give you some examples, but it's obviously completely up to you. Maybe it's a hair mask, it's a face mask, it's using your little jade or rose quartz face roller. Maybe it's reading a book, going for a walk, going for a swim in the ocean, giving yourself a massage. Maybe it's self-pleasure, maybe it's gardening, maybe it's dancing, maybe it's brunch with friends. Anything. make yourself a list and know that it does switch and change. So like something that I've noticed in myself is like I'll buy a new thing, like a little head massager or my face roller, and I'll be so into it for like a couple of weeks, and like that's my top self-care thing to do, and then it changes, and that's fine. Like this menu isn't set in stone. In fact, you can write a new one every week or every month or whatever if you want to, but just have it so that you have this little menu that you can give back to yourself. You can fill yourself up, you can nourish your own cup. And then in terms of your little rituals or any meditation, so I don't know what your morning practice looks like, if you're wanting to include meditation in your morning practice, etc. I really want this to land for you to do it out of joy. So when I first did my teacher training, I wanted to create a morning practice of meditating, and I was teaching morning classes, and so I would get up at 4 a.m. rigidly to meditate half an hour every day, have to do this, have to do this, have to do this, have to do this. And it didn't fill me up. It wasn't from joy. It was from I have to. It was from pushing. It was from stress. Like not stress, but like it was that energy. It was that energy of you have to do this, you must do this. And it was not filling me up. I need rest. I'm not a person that can get up at 4 a.m. It's just not, my body just doesn't do that. It doesn't like it. I need like 8-9 hours sleep a night. I like getting up slowly. I like getting up without an alarm. So I really want that to land for you as well. Any rituals and practices that you want to add into your day, and I'm not knocking them at all. I have a morning ritual. I meditate, I journal, I dance, I make my breakfast, a big nourishing breakfast, and I have a beautiful shower. All of that is slow and part of my morning ritual, but I do it out of joy. And if for some reason one morning I don't have time, or one morning I want to spend the morning with my partner, or like cuddling in bed or talking or whatever, that's fine, and you forgive yourself for it. So do it out of love, do it out of joy. Don't do it out of pushing or have to or need to or whatever. And don't feel guilty if you miss a day or 2 days or 3 days. Just come back to it. Come back to it without the guilt. Come back to love. Come back to pleasure. Come back to joy. Always.